In this video, I'm going to talk about canonicalization. Canonicalization, which is the canonical URL, which are an essential part of SEO and especially important if your website is WordPress website. So in this video, we will talk about what this canonicalization is and how this canonicalization help you in ranking your website. Hello everyone, I'm Shivani Goel. Welcome in WsCube Tech. So let's start with the basic definition about canonicalization. So canonicalization, which is a tag, that tag is a snippet of HTML code, that is your HTML code, and it defines the main version from duplicate or similar pages. And it's look like here you can see link rel canonical href equals to example.com, where that particular link rel, which means that this link is a master version of that particular page, where href equals to example.com, which means the canonical version can be found at the specified URL. So let me explain you with the help of important example here. That particular example is in WordPress, where you can have multiple ways to reach content. You may have a blog post about the difference between cat and the dog. Let me just take an example here. The difference between cats and dog. This is the blog post you have, and which you have placed in two categories. This would result in two URLs that lead to the same blog post as full, and that URL is your https backslash, that is, let's suppose mydomain.com slash cats slash the difference between cats and dog. And another URL you have is http mydomain.com, that is dogs, the difference between cats and dogs. So as both URL points on the same post, so a canonical URL would tell search engine which is the preferred URL for your post, so that they don't think you have duplicate content on the same site. So that's why we need canonical URL. So now let me show you why is canonicalization good for SEO. Because it helps Google make sense of duplicate content and minimizes the risk that they pick the wrong URL as a canonical version. With the canonical tags in place, Google can correctly consolidate link equality, index, and rank the main version of your content for relevant queries. Now, you should use canonical URL on the page that have similar content. Here, we already gave you one example here. The another example we have is a canonical URL will tell Google which page to include in this text. Here you can see that in the content of a second page, that is your second page is similar to the content of that particular parent page. So these pages have same content, that is the parent page and that is the another page here. But we have same content for that. So during the crawling process, search engine can understand that these two pages have the same content and they have to decide which one to keep in the index. So by adding a canonical URL to the child page, that will point to the parent page, you solve the problem once and for all. So in that particular thing, we have to practice the link, which should include like this, like your link, create canonical href, and you have to mention that particular parent name, and you have to add this particular link in your child page, so that Google will understand that this page already have same content and the link of that particular page is there. So these are some of the best practices for canonicalization. We have to use the URL inspection tool in our Google Search Console. In our Google Search Console lecture, we already discussed about this particular tool, which is your URL inspection tool. Why we are using that particular tool? we use this particular tool to figure out is that particular page indexed or not. Just to check the indexing of the page, we are using that particular tool. So we have to use URL inspection tool in the Google Search Console to see which page Google consider to be in the canonical version or not. So when deciding between using a redirect or canonical tag, then go with the redirect unless the user's experience would be diminished in some way. So when choosing which page to use the canonical tag, you have to go with the version you think is the most important, a good proxy in the URL with the most links and the traffic. So the canonical tag should only be used for identical or near identical URLs. It is not to be used for topical grouping. So these are the ways, these are the some of the best practices for canonicalization. Now let me show you a live demo how you can add canonicalization in your website. For this, let me visit on our website part. This is our website here. This is the editing part of our website. Here I simply log in my WordPress account. Here let me visit on one of the posts here. Let's suppose we have two different posts here. Let's suppose these two are the same posts. Let's suppose these two posts having the same content. Now let me explain you how you can add canonical tag in this particular page. So for adding your canonical tag, what you have to do, let's suppose this particular page having the same content as the previous page. For this, you have to simply install one of the plugin which is known as all-in-one SEO setting. And when you simply done with your installation part and activate that particular plugin, that plugin will show here. When you simply enable that particular plugin here, then just before your post, when you simply scroll down your post, you can find out this particular all-in-one SEO setting just below your post. Here you have to visit on this advanced option. In your advanced option, just below your robot setting, you can find canonical URL, and you have to mention the link of that particular post in this canonical URL option. How you can get the link from here? For getting the link, what you have to do, let me simply visit on that particular post. Let's suppose this is the post we have, which is the parent post. You have to simply copy that link. For copying that link, you have to simply visit on this post section on your right hand side, and you have to simply check your snippet preview, and you have to simply check the parama link here. This is the parama link we have. Here, this is the parama link. In this particular parama link, what you have to do, you have to simply copy that particular link from here. You have to simply copy that, and you have to simply paste it in your child post. Let's suppose this is child post you have. For this, you have to simply visit on that particular post, and let's suppose this is the child post you have. In this child post, you have to simply visit on this advanced option. After that, you have to simply mention that particular URL here. That is your canonical URL. But this feature is only for licensed all-in-one SEO Pro users. So before this, you have to take this particular Pro version here, Pro version of your all-in-one SEO here. After that, you can do canonical URL in your website. So thank you so much for watching this video.